The weather in Philadelphia is about to be a major factor as Matthew Stafford and the Fairweather Rams gear up for a Sunday showdown in South Philly. Although I'm not sure why one Rams rookie is already running his mouth because the Eagle fans are about to go nuts. Plus, why the Eagles O-line thinks they're the X factor for Sunday, the latest injury news that could change everything for the Birds. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Divisional round home playoff games do not happen that often, even for perennial playoff teams like the Philadelphia Eagles, who in the last 20 years have played in just 4 second-round playoff games, and only 2 of them coming at the Linc. One being the famous 2017 Atlanta Falcons' 4th down stop of Julio Jones, and the other just a few years ago, 2022, the dismantling of Saquon Barkley's Giants that set that franchise back over 5 years. But a home playoff game, potentially in the snow now, against a football team you crushed a couple of months ago when you played them in Week 11. Can we get 3,000 likes on today's video for the Birds? A playoff game in the snow? It's going to be a bunch of fun. Oh, and by the way, yes, I do mean snow, at least according to weathermen, who are literally never wrong. As of right now, the expectations for Sunday include a steady slate of snow, temperatures in the 30s at kickoff, with the second half of the game being very interesting as the temperature drops in the 20s, 2 to 3 inches of snow on the ground, winds at 15 miles per hour, maybe some visibility factors. This is going to be perfect playoff football weather. Also, this week for my game preview giveaway, do it every single Saturday here on the show, I'm partnering with the brand new website StraightFace.io to give away an Eagles jersey of your choice. StraightFace is this super fun new video chatting site where people from around the world meet by competing to make each other smile. Their game modes use face detection algorithms to detect emotion and challenges you to keep a straight face. And for the jersey giveaway today, it's any jersey of your choice from NFL Shop as usual, and entering is super easy. Scan the QR code on your screen or click the link down below in my description box to go to StraightFace's website and create an account. Add the creator code ThomasMOTT to your StraightFace profile as shown here, and that's it. You've entered. While you're at it, give the game a try. Probably a good chance you're going to see some other Eagle fans on the website right now. I'm super pumped to partner with StraightFace for this jersey giveaway. One of you guys is going to win it, so get entered. All the details down below in my description box right now. Personally, I think snow and 20-degree weather for a football team that practiced on Friday in Southern California in 60-degree weather is definitely going to help the Birds, who pride themselves on winning in the trenches and running the football. Although if you ask the players about said snow advantage, you get kind of a mixed response on Friday.
Well, it's not really too much of like a advantage. Like, we professionals, so it's like not too much advantage. Definitely. Shoot, I play with Staff, so we was in Detroit outside all the time, and that's cold too. So it ain't, so it's not, I don't see it as nothing as advantage. It's an element, and we just gotta go out here and just go hard.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was miserable. It's miserable. I'm not gonna lie. But as one of the advantages of playing at home, you've got to get used to this weather, and for it to be, very consistent weather, it's good for us. But then again, it's whoever shows up on Sunday.
At the end of the day, whether it's snow, rain, sleet, whatever it is, if we don't go out there and we don't execute, when we go against great teams like how we're playing right now in the divisional playoffs, you're going to set yourself up.
It does go without saying, Matthew Stafford, in his career, whenever it snowed or rained at the start of a game, 1-8 all-time, 14 touchdowns, just 13 interceptions.
We'll see when we get there. Every situation, every weather situation I've been a part of is kind of different. You go out there and see what you can do, what you can't do. And I'm sure that, Sunday will be no different.
Can't really think of how it's going to affect you. I mean, we have the ability to wear your 7-set cleats out there, and we're going to be prepared in the ways that we can. But it's exciting. I think the game of football is meant to be played physically, so I think that's what Sunday will permit.
Now, when you ask the Birds about their takeaways from playing the Rams back in Week 11, you're going to hear very similar responses to that same question we heard a week prior when the Eagles played a team in Green Bay for the second time this season.
And we caught them while they were hot, and we're catching them while they're hot again. And this is a young team led by a great coach, great quarterback, great players all around. I got a great defense. They've been very disruptive up front. Just got to come and execute. I think it starts in the trenches in a game like this, and we've been able to run the ball effectively. And so, hopefully we continue to oppose our will up front.
Yeah, they're a completely different football team since we played them. They're flying around. I think they're playing their best football right now. And we gotta go out and play our best football and try to be mistake-free, most importantly. So it's a different team. Nothing matters of what happens before, in that past game. So.
And honestly, this is true for both sides. The Eagles' defense, I think, is much better than they were in Week 11, even though they played amazing. and I think the Rams is much better as well. Although one thing the media has completely glossed over for the red-hot Rams is the Rams have only played one playoff team since playing the Eagles, and that was the 44-42 shootout win versus Buffalo. Their other wins to close the season included the lowly Saints, Niners, Jets, and Cardinals. All 4 of those games, Stafford's offense, they never scored more than 21 points. In fact, for all the hate on Jalen Hurts' passing numbers this week, besides that Bills win, Matthew Stafford has not thrown for 200 yards in any games since his loss to Philadelphia. And when you compare the Rams' history to the Birds post-Week 11, Philadelphia's notched wins over 2 playoff opponents in the Ravens and Steelers, with their lone loss coming against the Commanders, and of course, Jalen Hurts got hurt in that game, so yeah, I think the Eagles are a little bit hotter. Now, of course, the matchup everybody's talking about is Eagles O-line versus Rams defensive line, and we just got a little bit extra juice after a Rams rookie completely ran his mouth on Friday. Jared told the LA Times, quote, "I hate Eagle fans. They're so annoying. I hate Eagle fans. When I see that green and white, I hate it. I actually get upset. Like, I actually genuinely get hot," which is hilarious because the only time the Rams rookie has played the Eagles was in Week 11, and that was a home game back at SoFi Stadium in LA. Jared, buddy, listen, if you think Eagle fans on the road are really bad, wait till you hear what it's going to be like at the Linc after you said this to the LA Times and made it public on Twitter in the next 24 hours.
Probably not the smartest thing to say when you're coming to Philadelphia. I've been on the other side, and even if I felt some type of way, probably wouldn't give them any extra fuel. Pretty sure Philly fans seen that comment. It was already going to be loud and rocking, so just only going to add to it.
Now, Verse has been a very good rookie this season and did get a nice hit on Jordan Mailata, which Twitter is recycling right here from way back in Week 11. The problem for Verse, though, is when he played against Philadelphia, he had just one pressure the entire game and was essentially a non-factor, especially in the running game. And yes, the Rams just had 9 sacks against the Vikings last week, and so everyone's worried about this defensive line versus the Birds' offensive line, and yet we completely forget just how dominant Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Cam Jurgens, and the rest of the crew not only was last week versus the Packers, but overall throughout this season. As far as injuries go, for this late in the NFL season, both sides are extremely healthy. Head coach Sean McVay for the LA Rams confirmed on Friday that Tyler Higbee, Bobby Brown, and Ahkello Witherspoon are all expected to play on Sunday.
Higbee was limited. Ahkello Witherspoon and Bobby Brown did not participate. Everybody else was full.
Sean, do you have any clear to play?
I do. I expect all of them to play.
For the Birds, the only concern was really surrounding Dallas Goedert because he missed Thursday's practice with some sort of unknown illness, but as expected, he was back on Friday and is 100% good to go versus the LA Rams. It's easy to say, but this football game 100% comes down to who runs the football better, who doesn't turn it over, and who protects their quarterback against both really good defensive lines. And I might be a completely non-biased Eagle fan, as you can tell by everything here, maybe a little biased, but the Eagles are the better football team, built for the weather, built for running the football. This offensive line is going to eat. I told Josh Davis during our weekly live show to preview this game. This Rams defensive line is fantastic. It's really good, but they desperately need an Aaron Donald on the inside. That's their one big flaw right now, is they don't have that good of an ability to stop the run. When teams go 12 personnel, when they bring the extra tackle in, whenever they just want to run the football down their throats, Jared Verse is fantastic at speed. He's great at getting around edge rushers. He's not a great run defender, and it's a really big comparison between them and Philadelphia and the fact that Jordan Davis can do that. He can stop the run. And Jalen Carter, fantastic at stopping the run as well as pass rushing versus, Verse, if you will, getting around the edge and being a fantastic kind of pass blocker or, pass rusher overall versus some of the Eagles' pass blockers. So I think Philadelphia matches up well, and I do think you can run Saquon Barkley 30 times the next 3 games, hopefully. And if you do that, Philadelphia's probably going to go ahead and win. And I know we can talk about Jalen Hurts, and we can move into that right now, Josh. I know that they had their troubles on offense, and I know that Jalen Hurts talked to the media today. We'll talk about it on our shows tomorrow, exactly what he said. But basically typical Jalen Hurts jargon where he, says he's all about winning. He doesn't really care. Rhythm this doesn't really matter. I think Jalen Hurts does have to come out firing on Sunday, whether they run the football successfully or not, and make sure that he proves to the rest of the world that, yes, if they need me to on Sunday, which hopefully they don't, I'm able to lead us to a 290-yard, 3-touchdown passing performance through the air if for some reason the LA Rams are able to kind of bottle up Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, if you're the Rams, you're coming into this game, you're going, look, he ran for 255 yards against us. That is not going to happen. You won't be happy with it, but you'll live with the fact that you tried everything possible to stop Saquon Barkley and you lost to the Eagles. If Jalen Hurts goes out there and he carves you up, I think that you live with that. So I would totally agree that the Rams are going to, but again, it's still like, it's one thing to say it, and most teams have, and I think that Jalen, even his pressers, I mean, most teams have tried. They've tried to. They can't bottle up Saquon, but they've tried. So, good for them. I will say on that note, and I posted a tweet about this, but Underdog has lost their mind because the line for Saquon's carries was 20.5. It has moved since, I think it's up to 21.5. That still
Grab
feels
it now.
like a very low number. So I'll just say for anyone watching, curious, thinking about a potential, but that is the absolute lock. Feel free to scan the QR code, use code Philly Special, link in the description as well. But I think that one to me is like you're going to run the ball with Saquon all day, every day in that game, get some benefit there. But I'm excited, like I say, and appreciate CJ Deacon here with the 10 as well. Wanted to get to that. So let's go. Love the vids and streams. What do y'all think is the matchup to watch this Sunday besides Saquon versus the Rams D? Is it Jalen and what he does, or is it more so you think limiting Stafford, Nakua? Where do you lean with that?
I'll go Matthew Stafford versus the weather. I mean, Matthew Stafford, I had people saying, well, Thomas, he played in Detroit, and so he's played in a lot of cold weather games, not a lot of meaningful cold weather games. And since moving to the LA Rams, he's played in virtually none in terms of actual bad weather, cold weather games. He's 1-7 in games where it actually rains like a legit amount, where it's a serious rain situation. Now, his most recent one was that shootout versus the Ravens, whenever the Rams, I think it was last year, weren't that great, came in that game, kind of kickstarted their season. But Matt Stafford is not familiar with snow. He's not familiar with rain, especially recently, like I said, since moving to LA. I want to see Matthew Stafford and the entire Ram team perform in 21-degree weather as there's sleet, snow, whatever you want to call it, falling at the Linc, because that to me is the main factor. Philadelphia can sell out to stop the run, and if that's the case, Matthew Stafford's got to throw to win. He's totally capable of doing it. They have the receivers to do it. Tyler Higbee is likely going to play. We'll find out more on that tomorrow. But can he do it in the weather, on the road, in a hostile environment, and potentially from behind? And those are all pretty tough factors, Josh, when you're playing against the best defense left in the postseason. So I'm fascinated by the weather, honestly. I mean, if there was a football team that you would want to have come to the Linc for the one snow game of the postseason, because you likely go to the Lions in the following week, it would be the LA Rams right now. Everybody else, I mean, maybe the Bucks because they're kind of a warm weather team too, but everybody else you're going, man, I've played in cold weather games. Commanders, Washington, D.C. gets pretty cold. There are some nasty rainy games over there. This is a very, 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 I mean, let's just call it what it is, new thing for the LA Rams, especially this season. And I think it might be a big time wake-up call for not just Stafford, but that entire football team.
Totally with you. Yeah. I'm a little bit leery to go overconfident because, here we are like, hey, great matchup, who you want to be and all this other stuff. But it's like,
sure,
you look at the spread, you look at the line, and that tells a lot of story. I think everybody or most people would say that. And so it opens up at 6. Then you kind of have a little bit of news. You see what the Rams do, moves down to 5.5. Then you get the news today of looking more and more like you're going to get a snow game, freezing cold, whether it is rain or snow or both. And the line very quickly moves to 6.5, Philly being favored. So it's one of those that you've seen bigger upsets, sure. You got to go out there and play the game. But I'm with you. And also, I mean, I would just make this statement as well as whenever you're looking at this team and breaking it down, Cooper Kupp is not Cooper Kupp. He's not even Cooper Kupp that you saw back whenever I forget which week exactly it was. We played
11, right?
11,
yeah. 11?
I think so.
Yeah.
So he's not even to that extent. He has been almost, not completely, but almost MIA. And it's really alarming and kind of crazy for a guy like Cooper Kupp. I know that, Puka Nacua is phenomenal. He's taken a lot more of those targets, but you still would think okay, Kupp's going to have 5 catches, 60 yards, 70 yards, something like that. He hasn't been over 30 or 35, I think, in the last 4 games. So, you see there's been spurts where the Rams defense has held up their end of the bargain over the last several, but the Rams offense has really, they're 20th in points per game. They've had a couple spells here and there where it's like, oh, hey, that looks pretty good, but they haven't been consistent with it. And I think Cooper Kupp is a big reason why. And, the more that I went back and watched the game, I know a lot of people have. I've seen those comments also. It's like, Cooper DeJean, man, he said, hey, Adam Thielen gave him some work. That was after the Rams game. But, what he did on Cooper Kupp, it's like, I don't know, unless there's some big drastic changes there. But I'm kind of like, it seems like you're going into this game. And I think people forget, too, it's like Slay did not play mostly. He got the concussion, I think, the first or second series, and was out for basically the rest of the game. So between Slay and Quignon matching up probably against Nacua, and then you have Cooper DeJean to lock down Cooper Kupp. I'm just saying, yes, I'm with you. You never officially fully count out a Sean McVay, Matt Stafford offense, but Fangio's had the number and he's got the guys to do it, as we've seen for this year. So the only main concern, I'll get to some of the super chats here in a second also. The only main concern for me and a lot of people on defense is, can McVay dial up or scheme up a game plan that exploits or takes advantage of the loss of Nakobe Dean? And then do we see a little bit of slip up, or are we fully confident in Jeremiah Trotter being out there? So this can be interesting to see. But to me, that's the main factor.
That was the number 6 overall defense last week. Everyone was so quick to jump off the Packer bandwagon when Philadelphia exposed them this past week, Josh, but everyone was on the Packer bandwagon, especially the Packer defensive bandwagon, the course of the last quarter of the NFL season. Now, as we pointed out, they had lost the final 2. They were struggling a little bit banged up in here and there, but the Rams defense is nowhere near considered, at least on the backside, as good as the Packer defense. Now, the front 4 is very good. I think that the Viking offensive line got major exposed in that football game, but I fully expect the Eagles to be able to pass their way to victory here. And I do think Kellen Moore has to coach a good game. I think that Kellen Moore has got to isolate A.J. Brown more on one side of the football field and throw more slants. We saw that just going back and watching the Ram film in week 11, right? When we played the Rams, the amount of slants that A.J. Brown caught in that football game, it's a game changer because he catches the football 7 yards down the field and then runs for an extra 5 and you get 12. And so I think it's a multitude of things. I don't think practicing at the Linc is the reason why Philadelphia is struggling. The Eagles are doing everything they possibly can to get the competitive advantage because of many reasons. They want to win, but from a team standpoint, the more they win, the more money they make. And so I don't think there's some spy who has learned the Eagles playbook. And at this point in the season, Josh, they've run almost all the plays, right? I mean, all the plays are on film for the LA Rams to go ahead and watch. And so I don't expect anything crazy. And I definitely think they're going to be much better this weekend.
Yep.
Now it is going to rain, so we'll see. But
yes.
In theory, it'll be better than what we saw. Although, Josh, let me just say this. There was if you go back and watch the Packer game, for as much as Hurts struggled, and it really was those 3 and outs in the second quarter, his 2 scoring drives, especially that big one at Dallas Goedert, he was on top of it. And he followed it up with a 13-play field goal drive behind it that was also really good. The idea that Jalen Hurts was garbage on Sunday is completely inaccurate. Jalen Hurts was not fantastic based on the standard that he set this season, but it was not his worst game by far.
No doubt. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And, for people saying like the practicing at the Linc, and there's all sorts of conspiracies out there. The field is frozen, or had been, at the NovaCare complex as well. You've got heaters under the stadium, so it's a reason of going out there. Now, sure, you could scheme up, dream up anything that you want to, I suppose. The other conspiracy that I've seen out there as well, and a few other comments came in on it, or at least to surface here, is just like, with the wildfires, is it in the NFL script, if you believe in that sort of thing, that the Rams win, should win, because, they want to bolster the community, the rah-rah, everything on there. So,
yeah,
there's conspiracy. I'm not going to put that tinfoil hat on, but I know that people have takes all over the place. It is what it is. We do have a comment here from 30 and a Wake Up. Appreciate that. It says, Rams fan take. Eagles are tough on paper. They had the advantage, no question. However, Stafford is 5-1 in the playoffs since joining the Rams. The only loss by 1 point to the Lions.
Well, I can obviously disprove all of that simply by the fact that the Brandon Perna, what is it, the Wheel of Death, whatever he calls it, the Perna wheel landed on the Rams today, Josh, just FYI, in case you follow these things. So that is,
I missed that.
It landed on the Vikings last week.
So we're good to go.
Vikings, Rams this week. That basically guarantees Philadelphia. Now, listen.
Hammer the Eagles -6.5 then. There you go.
Sure sounds like it. The Rams are a great football team. I don't want to come on here and pretend like Philadelphia, has nothing to worry about, and the Rams are garbage. I think the Rams are a good football team, and I think that Sean McVay makes them as dangerous as humanly possible. And Matthew Stafford, playoff Matthew, you just mentioned, 5-1 in postseason games with the LA Rams. They're very, very good. I think the big difference between this week's LA Rams and last week's LA Rams was the extra week of prep that Sean McVay clearly had by resting his starters in week 18 and all but guaranteeing that the Vikings were going to lose that game to the Lions. Like, if you would have actually looked at the week 17 or the week 18 slate, really going back to week 17 and then preparing for week 18 in the wild card round, the Rams could have felt more than 70% confident they were going to play the Minnesota Vikings. And Sean McVay dialed up the perfect offensive game plan. They weren't fantastic, by the way. It was a lot more that defense. But Sean McVay with time is like Andy Reid with time. He's like technically Nick Sirianni post-bye week has been very good with time as well. The scheming is really, really great. Now, the fact that he gets to see Philadelphia for a second time means he will make adjustments. But Vic Fangio historically has had Sean McVay's number. The Eagles themselves have had Sean McVay's number. And so while I think there's a healthy amount of respect for the LA Rams that every Eagle fan needs to have, the matchup, again, is just so incredible because they're not strong at cornerback. So if Philadelphia needs to throw, you would assume the Eagle pass catchers can get open. Remember, Devontae Smith didn't play in that game, and they still threw the football pretty well. And the offensive line versus defensive line matchup cannot be overstated, Josh. We spent 10 minutes on it earlier. The pure size difference alone and the ability to do bully ball. And when you want to run the football, Josh, especially in bad weather, resetting the offensive line back towards the LA Rams 2, 3, 4 yards makes all the difference in the world. And if Philly gets an early lead like we saw them do this past week, most of the entire, second half of the NFL season, it's going to be tough sledding for a Rams team against an Eagle defense, by the way, which no one's talking about, is creating every turnover under the sun over the past month, which has been, honestly, really incredible and was a big factor why Philadelphia won this past week. Also, the subscriber who won the Let's Hunt t-shirt from Thursday's video was Tate Kessler 9514. So Tate, go ahead, shoot me an email. I'll link down below in my description box where you find it. Send me an email. Make sure you're signing your YouTube account. Prove it's you. I'll get that sent out to you as soon as possible. Everybody else, obviously the Jeresy Giveaway happening with StraightFace. That'll be announced on Monday or Tuesday's show, depending on how things go. We're also getting close to 80,000 subs where we'll give away the Devontae Smith signed football. Let's just hope the Birds win on Sunday and we keep cruising in the NFC Championship game. I can't wait for this game. Myself, Josh Davis, will be streaming the entire game on Sunday. Sure, go ahead and check it out. I'm Thomas Mott. Pumped for the weather tomorrow. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.